do you think you gained for it? It sounds like you had a really, really good summer up there.
Yeah, yeah.
Came back. What did you take from? What's the biggest thing that helped you out, I guess?
I would say just reps. I mean, obviously the injury last year, missed a lot of time. Just getting back out there and getting down, kind of a routine to be on the field with again. So I'd say just reps in general.
Did you work on any particular pitches up there?
I was mainly throwing sinker, four seam, cutter, and slider. This fall I worked a lot on the changeup, basically all just fastball changeup this fall. So that was kind of, I was working more on just the pitching aspect, not necessarily one pitch, just getting back out there and getting the reps.
What did that do for your confidence to go up there and have success against, I guess, some of the best hitters in college baseball?
Yeah, it definitely builds it up. I mean, obviously missing last year and not pitching as well as I wanted to early in the year with the foot, it's gonna help me down the road, especially.
Mark was saying this morning that the injury, in a weird sort of way, might have been a little blessing in disguise for you.
Yeah.
Do you concur with that, and why?
Yeah, I agree. Basically, right when I got hurt, I said, I'm going to treat this as the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm going to get stronger in the weight room. I'm going to give my arm a little bit extra rest. And, that's kind of what happened. I took off this summer and had a pretty good summer, I felt like. And I feel like you said, it was a little bit of a blessing in disguise.
What do you attribute the jump in velocity to? Is that part of that, the strength and conditioning and that?
Yeah, I went from probably around 210 to 215 in the spring to closer about 230 consistently now. And also, I threw off my knees for 2 months here and when everybody was playing, which sucked at the time. But, I think it helped in the velocity. But I think the number one thing was probably the strength.
How does that help you throwing off your knees? Just strengthening your arm?
Yeah, it's got to be something. Just because you're not using your lower half and you're basically, I think it's just getting more mobility with your upper body is what helped in the long run.
And how about the weight gain and how does that help you throw harder?
Basically just strength. Strength is going to equal speed at the end, and if you can be more explosive and stronger with your muscles, I think you're just going to have higher velocities down the road.
Okay. How did you feel like you pitched in the fall?
Decent. I was definitely working on a lot of stuff. It was kind of hard to put the results behind myself when I knew that I was pitching a little differently than I would in the spring, but me and Coach Meade really worked on that changeup. There was days that's really all I was throwing. But I definitely got a lot out of it.
How do you think that'll help you?
I think a lot, for sure. I threw pretty well with just 3 pitches in the summer, so I think adding a 4th one can only make you better, right? So I think that's definitely going to help.
What's your speed differential between the fastball and the...
Yeah, so this fall we've been throwing it 82, 85-ish.
Wow.
So I've been trying to make that 10 to 12 mile an hour speed differential. Last year, my freshman year, it was like 8 to 6, and that was just too firm. So
yeah.
I think it's got better movement on it now since it's 10 to 12 mile an hour split, and I think it's just going to be able to freeze guys and just have that enough of a velocity difference to where they'll swing and miss at it.
Now you've added a little bit of a cutter too, is that right? What
Yeah.
does that pitch do for
So I added that cutter actually last summer, and I threw that in the fall, threw it in the spring, but really refined it this summer, and that's something that's just going to take off a barrel. It's just a tough pitch to square up. You see it in the big leagues. I think it's one of the toughest pitches to hit, so just adding that just helps.
Yeah. Take me kind of back to that Clemson game. You had worked really, really hard and earned that Friday night role, 3rd start of the year. What happened out there on the mound?
I really think it was just a build-up of, earlier in the spring I did have foot problems, and personally I wasn't vocal enough with it, and I really do think I was pitching on an injury from the start of the season, really from the start of the spring when we got back out there. And that's all on me. I wasn't vocal enough with the coaches and the training staff. I just thought I could go out there and just get it done, but obviously that wasn't the case. And that Clemson game was just a result of it just kind of all building up and just crashing on me.
Yeah,
whether mentally and physically, is really what happened. So
you just stepped wrong coming off the mound, right? Or were you fielding a ball? I can't remember.
No, what happened was it was a stress fracture. So like from the beginning of the year, it kept getting worse, right. And then that was just kind of like just split basically is what happened. Full fracture is what happened. So it wasn't necessarily like a certain play or anything. It was just that pitch just happened to be the very end of the fracture.
It was coming at some point.
Exactly.
So what was your reaction and your mental state at that point?
It sucked, but it was almost not a relief for myself, but I felt like I looking back on it almost like 2 weeks later, I said, I wasn't pitching healthy that whole season. So I think it's better to take time off and get healthy and come back strong versus then try to pitch hurt. So I think it is a blessing. So